for a healthy person to understand fatigue, they would have to be awake for 3 days and 3 nights. So that's like the level of exhaustion. So I got COVID for the first time in March 2020, had it several times after that, and looking back at it now, I just was never right afterwards. It was, there were different symptoms, there was brain fog and there was exhaustion, and I would put it down to lots of different things. And I would think, well, lockdown was a weird time, or I'm that age where it's like, is this hormones? Is this just my age? But the symptoms started getting worse and worse and worse, so that the last 2 years, pretty much, life hasn't been as it was. And it got to the point where, very much like you were saying, to get up or downstairs was actually a major task, so much that when I had a friend call round one evening to bring me food, I actually wasn't well enough to go down the stairs to let him in. So it was an exhaustion that I'd never experienced before, and I would try and change my bed sometimes because I was spending so much time in it, but I just did not have the strength to change sheets. I would go and have a shower, hoping that would make me feel better. Standing up was too much of an effort. I would sit at on the bottom of the shower. It got to the point where my 78-year-old mother would have to come round and help me do the washing up because I couldn't stand up long enough to do it. So it was such an extreme kind of exhaustion, and I found it really hard to explain even to myself what was happening, let alone other people, because I think we live in a world where lots of us are tired all the time. So you say you're tired, I say I'm tired, even though I'd have slept 14-15 hours the night before. And I was like, what does that mean even? And people would go, oh yeah, no, I'm tired too. But it's like, it's such a different experience, and it's quite hard to have the language to explain what this kind of fatigue and exhaustion feels like. And my sister sent me an Instagram post. I was probably a good year into quite extreme symptoms, and this Instagram post was such a relief because it said, and I don't know who this originated from, it said that for a healthy person to understand fatigue, they would have to be awake for 3 days and 3 nights. So that's like the level of exhaustion. And when you wake up feeling like that, having been asleep for 12, 14 more hours, and to wake up and that's your first feeling, it's utterly crushing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then day after day, week after week, month after month, it's severe, and it gave me a lot more understanding for people that are living with these invisible conditions and disorders that that we don't have understanding of. So I could, on good days, spend an hour or two in my coffee shop, doing some work. And I don't imagine anyone in that coffee shop would have imagined that as soon as I left that coffee shop, I was going back home to bed, and I would stay there for the rest of the day and the night. And I was really embarrassed that that's what I was doing. So I wasn't advertising that to people. And it just made me realise, we've all got our secret struggles and challenges that the rest of the world don't see. And often don't understand. I wouldn't have understood what this was until I was in it.
I don't think you can. When COVID happened, because for me, I'm way ahead, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's 2009 when I first got ill, and I'm in a very, very different place now, mentally and physically. It's totally different.
So when you first got ill, how did it show up for you?
I do know it started when I'd do it. So I was in training, right? So I was competing. At that point, I was kickboxing.
Yeah.
And I remember going to one of the Team GB training sessions, and I was afterwards. I was about an hour and a half or 2 hours later. I would just start feeling extremely sick. And I remember saying to my friend, "Oh, when you go training and then 2 hours later you feel really sick and you're just like sick and exhausted and really unwell." And she was like, "No." And I was like, okay. So that was my first sign that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Then I was just in this world of denial for so long.
How long do you think? Could you put a time on it?
It was definitely a couple of years.
Yeah.
And so I was also dissociated from all of the symptoms, right? So I was having panic attacks. I can now look back and realise I was having mild panic attacks daily.
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't know what they were. I was out of touch with my emotions. I'm also undiagnosed neurodivergent. My interoception is terrible, so my emotional awareness is terrible anyway. And on top of that, I was resisting the hell out of it because I didn't want to. The fear felt off limits to me, so I didn't know what my panic attacks were about, and I didn't want them to be there, so I pretended they were.
Yeah.
And then I started developing allergies. I couldn't sleep. One time, I wasn't sleeping, and one time at 2 o'clock in the morning, because I couldn't sleep, I had keys to the gym because I was a coach. Went down to the gym, got on the treadmill, and did a 10-mile run at 2 o'clock in the morning. The cleaner came in at something like 3 or whenever it was. I was just finishing up, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Wow.
And at that time, I remember feeling special because I was working this hard. Like, here I am doing what I should be doing. I was literally on the treadmill to nowhere. Just running myself into the ground.
Oh, literally. Gosh.
Yeah, the treadmill's a perfect metaphor for it.
Yeah, at 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning. Because I couldn't sleep.
Wow.
As if that was going to help.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then did you get diagnosed at some point?
I did, but it was never... It's a really impossible question to answer because I went to see lots and lots of different doctors.
Yeah.
And one of them in particular said, "I think this is chronic fatigue." And I didn't see that person again. Doesn't sound right. Obviously, that person's a quack. Another doctor I went to told me, I think I mentioned to him that this doctor had said that I should be looking at chronic fatigue. And at that time, I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
No, chronic fatigue is, as far as I can gather, the medical equivalent of a shrug, because it's like an absence of diagnosis. It means that you're tired and they've ruled everything else out rather than you're tired because a certain thing is happening.
Yeah.
So anyway, it wasn't an official diagnosis, but the next doctor, my GP, awful doctor, I left afterwards, he was terrible. He told me that one of the things he did that was a nightmare, told me that chronic fatigue isn't a real illness. And I basically had to snap out of it. I also had lots of, my immune system was all over the shop.
Yeah.
So I had recurring infections of all sorts, ear infections, sinus infections, and UTIs. Yeah. And he said, "Oh, you just have to learn to wash better." That's when I left him. I was like, I don't think that's what the problem is. So yeah, he wasn't great. But it was just, I could blame, and I sound like I'm blaming bad doctors here, and I'm not, because really I didn't stick with anything long enough to really give a proper go at it, because I wanted either someone to say, "Oh, here it is, you're vitamin D deficient, take this magic pill, better," or I would, or nothing. I wasn't prepared for the harder news, so I didn't stick around long enough to hear it.
Yeah.